Okay, found some more photos. Thailand. You've seen that one. This is 96, 97. Dingle Pargle and the brothers. Is it James and Richard? Jamie Mushkin, Gatika. I do know her name. Kiwi girl, Kiwi Australian girl. Lucy and Gatika. Big smiles there. Here's the whole crew. Looks like Hadron Beach. Percy. Forget her name. Remember her, but I forget her name. Not very good with names. Bongo Paul. Fluffy Pete in the background. Oh yeah, it's the crew, isn't it? Looking down off the point towards Hadron Beach. Kopangan. About 96, 95. Sangtip Steve. Bongo Paul. The crew. The family. Look how clear that water is. Oh my god. Katika. Morna and a little gibbon. We used to go to big hikes with Georgie. Georgie and Paul, so that's looking down onto all the three beaches by the looks. Yeah, we used to go on these psychedelic walks way up into the hills. No man's land. So this is looking at Hat Yuan. We used to hike right up the back of here and go right up into the ridge, and little party happening on the beach. Beach doesn't look like that anymore. It's full of bungalow. Hello, you want bungalow? Even out in the rocks. Wearing some of Noel's clothing. Gary Dinglepargle. Yeah, he lives just down the road from me. About 45 minutes drive. Pargle. Got his cheeky look on there. Looks like Morna in a sunset. I used to have a pet monkey called Michael come out snorkeling with me. It would free dive down and pick up bits of coral. I built it a big house with a swimming pool and a deck looking down onto the sanctuary. How gorgeous. Paradise. We're back on Hat Wainam again with Colin's little hut in the corner there. Coles Beach. Had a pet monitor lizard that used to hang out on the beach with me. I used to feed it by hand. There was a little lagoon in the back of here where I could have a wash, and I'd drink the water coming out of the mountain up in the back. Rent free. There's Matt, Sonny, Paul, Dingle Pargle and Sandash. I remember waking up one night and early morning, and Tor's boat had sunk on the beach. The deal was, he like, you stay on my beach, no problem, you watch my boat. And of course the boat drifted anchor. Here's my little kitchen. Paul's cooking up some porridge, I would say. There's me looking rather fit. Yeah, need a haircut. This is before I lived on the beach. There's no hut there at that stage. Hat Wainam. Bungalows these days. Look at that. There was a big bommy in the middle of this bay. It was covered in fish. Really beautiful. Yeah, that one there, I don't know if I should show you that one, it's nakedness. YouTube might take it off. Here we have a party somewhere and you can see Vickers going off. Yeah, lift off, probably sunrise. Then back onto Bovey Beach, which was the one around the corner on the left hand side of Sunrise Hadron, where we lived in this hut for nothing for 6 months. Rosie and Morna. No rent, no phone, no dramas. So, Bangkok. The photos are not really in order, so this is about 1994, 95, first time in Bangkok. And we're on our way after Koh Phangan, heading to Japan, Tokyo. King's Palace, amazing building. And then it was off to Japan. Tokyo, I took a load of silver into Japan to sell on the streets. It's one of the parks. Family transport. Morna. I remember trying to get on top of a building to take a photograph of the sunrise. Not an easy feat in a big city. And then the sun finally came up and it was so polluted I couldn't see the sun anyway. Japanese rock band. This looks like we're in a club somewhere. So expensive back in those days. The yen was very strong. So we hung out with these two other girls, Swiss and Kiwi. She ended up jumping off a pier into the water in the middle of the night, had to get saved. And I ended up leaving the three girls there to go back to live in Bangkok for a while after I sold all my jewellery. Got some good stories about the mafia and the Yakuza. Well, the Yakuza and the police and the Israelis running the streets back in the mid-90s. Yeah, expensive. It was ridiculously expensive. Israelis on the street with their little stall set up. Nice. Not quite sure what this was off. Sort of partying in a bar somewhere there. Okay, so 2 trips to Riley, PP, West Coast, Thailand. The first one was in about 92, 93, must have been 93, 94 maybe, coming out of Tokyo, living in Bangkok for 6 months and then going down to the West Coast, below Burma, on the west coast of Thailand. And we used to get this guy to take us over to a deserted beach. We would just hang out for the day. We'd take food and a mosquito net and our snorkeling gear. Have our own little private cove for the day. So this is Riley's, big caves in here, lots of rock climbing and stuff. This is back in the early 90s before the resorts went in there and bulldozed the whole place and set it up. Commercialised it majorly. Looking out of a cave down onto the beach. Beautiful little fish. Riley Beach. There was a lagoon in the centre of the peninsula. You had to climb up ropes and down ropes to get to it. I don't have any photos, but it was amazing. And then I ended up getting work on one of these old boats. Let's have a look. So, old boat like this, big old wooden boat. My job was to go out and sell tickets to the backpackers, get them on these boats. More photos coming of the boat. So this is the Inner Princess Cave. So there was a story of a princess that used to live in the Inner Princess Cave during the wet season, and the Outer Princess Cave, which was out on the beach on the other side, on the sunset side during the summer months when the weather was better. This was absolutely amazing. You walked inside it, and there's all these stalagmites and stalactites and rose quartz. And there was a quartz crystal waterfall. So this is all crystal, and it came over the top lip. It was like a waterfall that was solid. Absolutely spectacular. So yeah, this is out on the boat. Obviously no safety gear, no life jackets, no radio. The bloody engine broke down. They had to pull the whole kitchen apart to get to the engine to fix it. We all thought we were going to die. And yeah, it was quite an adventure. This is out in Phi, I think. Look at the colour of that water. Feeding the fish. It's so beautiful, that area. So we built this big ladder so we could cliff jump. This is out on the boat charters. You can see in here, you can see the people. You can see how big these cliffs are. Phenomenal. So this is going into the inner princess cave I was just talking about. Limestone. And then this is meant to be a figurine. Right at the end of the cave there was a stalagmite that had fallen over, and then this had dripped onto it, so it looked like a lady lying there. And I bought a spear gun. I decided I was going to catch all my own food. Spear fishing is very difficult. Look at that, how beautiful. Riley Beach. This is the inner princess cave, I think, taken from. Little traditional hut. Warner with a fish, spear gun, looks like a little, look at that, absolutely spectacular area. Got to be one of the most beautiful areas on the planet. Look at it. So this is one of the crew that we used to hang out with on the boat when I was doing the charters. I was getting paid in rice, I remember. This guy used to take us over to our own little private beach each day. It's pretty nice. Here's us building a ladder so we could get up the cliff, so we could do the cliff jumping. Back out on Phi. It's a tropical rock lobster, painted lobster. I forget that dude's name. It's obviously a big gathering after the boat trip, drinking Sang Tip whiskey by the looks. Got the old tape player going. Sunset. Hanging out with a monkey. Looking out over the islands. I actually jumped off the boat one day and went for a big swim and didn't tell anybody. Masked snorkel and fins, and then the bloody tide current moved and started going the other way, and took me hours to get back to the boat. I was lucky. Yeah, big old boat, hanging out on the beach. It was a girl's birthday. I went to the market, bought some fish, made a big cook up. Look at that, how beautiful. West coast of Thailand, pretty special. Stalagmites and stalactites. Hanging out on the boat. Okay, so after being in Thailand, up to Japan, flew back to New Zealand. And we ended up down in Queenstown. This is about 93. I was working up on the Remarkables. This is the view over the back looking down onto the town. Queenstown. I was doing ski tours, ski transport. This is looking up the other way. Absolutely stunning area. I think that boat's called the Earnslaw. 93. This is Georgie and Morna. New Year's Eve. The roads were just covered in cans. Beautiful lake. The girl was called Rosie. So this is looking off the Remarkables. This whole area is built by glacial formation, ripped up out of the earth with huge glaciers. Blocks of ice just tore the earth to pieces. A super deep lake. The bottom of that lake is deeper than what the sea level is out on the coast, hundreds of miles away. Me doing some fishing. Mike Pearson on the left. Trout fishing. Can't remember the name of the lake. What's the name of the lake? It looks pretty cold. Plenty of trout around. Catching trout. Rainbow maybe. We used to get these grubs, rotten wood, and go and fish. It looks like a big brown. Forget this girl's name. Trout fishing. This is down the Melba Sounds. They must have done a trip down there by the looks. Scott Muir hanging out. Queenstown. There's a bungee jump. I've got a feeling that's Morna. Not sure. Skyline bungee. I helped build this bungee jump, clearing the land. Someone's flying around out there. That's the Remarkables in the background. Says ski field on top of there. Absolutely beautiful area. Looks cold. I think this is out the southern end of the lake. And you got the Shotover River full of gold. Look at that, absolutely pumping. And then I was driving Skipper's Canyon, doing four-wheel drive tours, 93. Driving this troopy in and out of Shotover's Canyon to the bungee jumping and the jet boats. And we'd have a picnic. There's the Shotover jets. And we'd do a bit of gold panning, and you'd always have a little bit of gold hidden in the palm of your hand, and you'd get it into the pan, and everybody found a bit of gold. It was my birthday, so I got a free bungee jump. It was 300 feet, 100 meters. And you can see the bridge in the background. It's called the Pipeline. The road was made up of shale and really slippery, quite dangerous driving. There you go, looks like I've done some damage here. There was one area, there's me bungee jumping, where the main road had a little track leading off to the left down into the river, and I'd turn around and say to my guests, "Everybody okay?" and then drive off the track, freak everyone out, end up in the river, get some photos. Shotover Canyon. Absolutely spectacular area, South Island, New Zealand. Me bungee jumping, what a buzz. Oh yeah, Morna did the skyline bungee jump. Those pictures would have been her. 72 meters. Then I got a job driving mountain cycling tours. You'd go up the mountain and would drop the people off, and then they'd ride down, and I'd pick them up from the bottom, right down the side of the mountain. I think it was Coronet Peak. You know, I got a job doing skidoo tours. This bike used to do 100 kilometers an hour through the snow. You'd go into these big powder bowls and you wouldn't see anything. You'd have to hide in behind the windshield. And then, get this guy's name, we had a paint gun game set up, Kenny G. So this guy here, Kenny G, he was a bit of a character. He was an electrician, and he had a paint gun game. And we went to this concert, Jimmy Barnes was playing, and we set up a paint gun where if you shot the target you got a tequila, and then we had a nice chair and you'd launch them off the chair while they were swallowing the tequila. I think this is out at the paint gun game. We had a bar set up. Kenny G used to own a GT Shaker, a big V8 car. He used to cruise around in up in Auckland. Obviously with the paint guns, we had full face masks and the paint gun game. Lots and lots and lots of Steinlager. There's the game, picnic afterwards with barbecue and volleyball and stuff. This is back at the concert. We'd give them tequila and launch them off the seat. I had all the money in my bag, and while I was sleeping that night someone robbed me. Took all the money. Well, Kenny G wasn't too happy about that. I think this is going into Moat Lake, so the southern end of Queenstown. There was a little track that took you up into this lake, and we had a full moon party up there. Probably one first full moon party doof. So I had 3 cassette tapes that had all this music on it that were pre-recorded set from a guy called Blossom in Thailand. I got them off him and we hung out for the night. And the mist came in. I had a big bonfire. Moat Lake full moon party. Look at that. Huge mountains all around us. Oh, look at them. Just what a beautiful area. There's the lake. So good. And then Morna and I got married in Queenstown, 92, 93. She was working up on the ski fields. I was doing ski transport and ski tours, 4-wheel drive safaris and the skidoos, and going gold panning every moment I had. So we got married and then we went down the west coast on our honeymoon. This is a big glacier, Franz Josef Glacier, huge. So we hitchhiked down the west coast for our honeymoon. West coast of the South Island. As you can see here, there's actually people standing there and there and there. You can see how big this glacier is. Fox Glacier. Absolutely stunning. I remember hitchhiking and the sandflies were out of control. Pancake Rocks, Greymouth, West Coast. Beautiful formations. And from the west coast went into Christchurch, where I got work doing stainless steel engineering, building these huge containers for holding milk.